That's right, here we are making videos, still talking movies, because never underestimate the power of the human spirit. That's not even one of the worst lines in the movie. One of the more memorable, not one of the worst. Anyhow, the time has come. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So Mortal Kombat Annihilation's the sequel to the first Mortal Kombat movie. Annihilation came out November 1997, if I'm remembering correctly. It was around winter 97. My brother and I watched it, got back. My dad was like, was it better than the first one? We were both like, and my brother goes, not exactly. We've been bagging on it ever since. It's taken me this long to review this movie. I know like quite a few people are like, you should totally talk about this movie. And I think the main hang up is I'd have to watch it again. It's just really, it's hard for me to get through. It's just painful for me to watch. And there's a lot to talk about what's wrong with this movie. So in a world where this movie is supplying such a vast array of multiple choice options to choose from, we're gonna select a few things anyway and talk about those. Funny enough, the movie does something it probably shouldn't have done. It does the recap, which a recap is usually, it's generally very appreciated. However, if you're watching Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you've probably seen the first one. Who's gonna jump on Annihilation and be like, oh, screw the first one. You gotta watch the second one. That's where you start. So I don't think it's necessary, but also rule of contrast is really working against this movie. You see footage from the first Mortal Kombat movie, the much more competently made Mortal Kombat movie. So when you go from footage from the first Mortal Kombat movie and then, oh, to Annihilation, you immediately see the difference in quality. And then from there, there's just immediately you're like, who made this? Everything from the terrible CGI, the bad green screen king, where the background's literally clipping through characters' shoulders and objects. You see the fucking seam in the CGI sky? We'll get back to the CGI a little later because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to CGI. Yeah. I think my favorite part in the intro is the fact that you can hear Shao Kahn laughing his way through the dialogue.
You will never rule this world.
As long as the portal remains open, your world becomes my world.
Tell me he's not trying his best to hold back that laugh. Funny enough, this movie gets a lot of shit for the fact that Johnny Cage died in the intro. Fuck me, I'm still talking about the intro. But I mean, he dies in the intro. It's a totally different actor. You don't have Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, which I actually understood when I first saw it, because the story at the time was Johnny Cage died between Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 when Outworld did its siege on Earth before Mortal Kombat 3 started. That's when he died. But now, I mean, looking at it, you're like, no, you could have fleshed that out and had him die better. At least he has, you know, a line.
This is not good.
Where do we even start about this movie? Like, what's the worst? You know, like, where do we even pick? Do we pick the porn quality acting?
Too bad you will die.
This movie's porn acting without any of the fun that comes between the acting in porn. It's like instead of fucking, you have fights. Do we pick the PS1 CGI? The subpar cosplay costumes? Well, looking past any of that, like if you can just look past it, the biggest tragedy in this movie for me is just the lack of character and lore. Mortal Kombat was the spearhead of lore among fighting games. It was next level sorcerers and another realm, elder gods, changed how I viewed fighting games. And this movie just doesn't really incorporate any of it, or it's in here, but it's in here in the capacity that someone just never played Mortal Kombat and thought they could just make shit up. Which I don't know why you have to make things up. You have enough lore to pick from. Yeah, it's all fine and all, but what we really want is a dragon tattoo that comes to life upon the defeat and death of somebody and flies away and disappears. Also, that dragon tattoo is an heirloom of Raiden and Shao Kahn because they're brothers, I guess. Also, that dragon tattoo is a fast pass in between realms because Mortal Kombat just isn't crazy enough without that made up shit. How do you make this stuff up? Like, that's the kind of stuff people come up with, and I'm like, why was that necessary in this movie? It's like they were like, I don't know. Let's just try to make Mortal Kombat lore worse than it has to be. I'm not saying Mortal Kombat lore is bad. I think it's cool. It's just someone wanted to make it worse. You can tell that they've never played a Mortal Kombat game and don't know the Mortal Kombat characters by the descriptor they give Stryker.
Two of Earth's best warriors have already been taken. Cabal and Stryker.
One of Earthrealm's greatest warriors. Sorry. No. Granted, Mortal Kombat Annihilation does come from a time when I feel like the concept of video game movies as seen in Annihilation and Super Mario Brothers and even Street Fighter was like, all right, we'll write a movie and then just throw video game characters in it. You don't have to know about the characters or the lore. We'll just have the characters in this movie that could have been just any other movie. But even by that standard, Annihilation's just the worst of it. And the lack of understanding of character and lore is seen by characters who don't have relationships who should have a relationship of some sort. The story of Smoke and Sub-Zero is that Smoke was Sub-Zero's friend, and then he was assimilated and he became a cyborg against his will. Sub-Zero wants to get him out of that, and that's a really compelling thing. I thought it was a cool story in 3. Then when I was watching the movie, Sub-Zero just freezes him. He's like, all right, he's frozen. All right, now kick him so we can blow up. Yeah, fuck that guy. Oh, that's when I was like, they've never played the game. Yeah, spinning fast travel hamster balls in the center of the earth, that didn't tip me off. But the lack of Sub-Zero Smoke lore, that was it. And that lack of relationship is even seen by the matchups. Like, the matchups don't really make sense. Melina and Sonya fight in the mud with the lamest fatality ever. Oh, okay. I guess that's that. Stiff competition for the lamest fatality ever, at least. But Melina fighting Sonya, why isn't Melina fighting Kitana? I imagine that would be the fight. Cyrax going after Sonya and Jax. What? Okay, why though? This movie has no Lin Kuei at all. It's Shao Kahn's the big baddie. There are no other factions. There's so many factions in Mortal Kombat. This movie has 2.
What the hell is that?
It's someone to make a fight happen for the fuck of it, Jax. We're gonna roll with it. And that's all the explanation we're gonna get. That's really what this movie feels like. It feels like all the matchups and all the deaths, it was, because you have your canonical fights, right? You have characters that fight each other in Mortal Kombat because it makes sense. Then you have the non-canon fights, which are essentially when 2 players get together and they just pick a character and they fight. Put quarters in the machine and they fight in the arcades, but those aren't the canonical fights. Those are just called people fighting in arcades, but that's what these fights are. Somehow someone's like, hey, we're gonna make those the fights in the second movie. But at least you have Sonya and Jax palling around together. They're not pals. Like, that was one of the big disappointments. Like, Sonya and Jax are supposed to be close. They're partners. It's supposed to be really tight. But the whole time, Jax is like, can you please explain what's going on? And she's like, no. She never explains it to him. She just looks annoyed and she's like, look, okay, no one told me why Johnny had to die. We need to stop the merger. I'm not gonna explain more than that. And he just gets irritated the whole time. And then you would get annoyed if you ever thought the movie was making any sense, but you're not even invested enough to get annoyed. But it does hit you like, why aren't you explaining the situation to Jax? Why are you keeping him in the dark? That's really stupid. You know another thing that cracks me up, other than when Shao Kahn was trying to hold back his laugh? The Raiden stunt double. I mean, that's not James Remar. Is that Ray Park? I looked into it. That he looks like Ray Park, and I know Ray Park is a stuntman in this movie, but he's not credited for Raiden last I checked, but that totally looks like Ray Park. And after Raiden stunt double is clearly fighting reptiles, here's the end of it. All right, we got Sindel. I guess that happened. So other than the porn acting, the costumes, and the script.
Tell me, did you make them beg for their lives before you destroyed them?
But Master, I thought if I let them
I have no use for excuses!
Put on your poker face, dude. Be like, of course I made them beg for their lives. Obviously, because this guy's gonna, fucking kill me with a hammer if I didn't? That's the dumbest boss ever. He just keeps killing people. Kills Rain for the shit of it. Kills Jade for the shit of it. Because, you know, Mortal Kombat, death, that's what it's known for. The editing makes this movie completely incomprehensible. It's like characters go from one place to the other, and then they're there, and now they're fast traveling everywhere. Maybe they're all using the hamster ball. Speaking of editing, let's check out that Shiva fight. All right, well, that's it. Shiva's gone now. But at least we have animalities. I mean, when I saw animalities in the movie, I was like, oh, so there's animalities. Animalities aren't that fun extra thing. This is a thing in lore now. This is canon. This is happening in the movie. No babe-alities? Wait, Shao Kahn has an animality? Was he hanging out with Nightwolf in his spare time, learning the power of animalities? And the CGI. Bad is just a word. So is dog shit. Spoiler alert, but that animality fight is just next level. Liu Kang's dragon doesn't even look like Liu Kang's dragon. Liu Kang's dragon, you know, whether it be his dragon fatality, his animality, it has that Mortal Kombat dragon look to it. It consistently looks generally the same. This looks like a 5-year-old drew a dragon and they were like, hey, well, just my kid drew this and I'm gonna translate that to the movie. I mean, I just gotta think at a point when you're a filmmaker, you gotta make that call like, okay, we can't make the CGI look good, so let's just not have that thing. If there were no animalities in this movie, no one would have been like, there's no fucking animalities, what? Now the movie sucks. But now, really, the thing that people remember about your movie is the bad CGI in the animality fight. Whatever that is. But at least it very quickly and abruptly ends after that. And in the end, that's what I can say about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Like, Mortal Kombat 1 was a genuine attempt at bringing Mortal Kombat to the big screen. It had the Mortal Kombat lore, generally speaking. I mean, the Sub-Zero and Scorpion thing that kind of just breezed right over. But I always kind of understood that because that is thick enough to have its own movie. The characters felt like the characters. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa is Shang Tsung forever. He's even Shang Tsung in MK11, the game. It's amazing. Gone is any of that villainous charisma and annihilation.
It is glorious!
Mortal Kombat 1, the movie, was a genuine attempt to bring the characters and the lore to the big screen, and you have fights in there because it's a Mortal Kombat movie and you kind of have to. Mortal Kombat Annihilation was just a series of fights that were just lined up to make a movie, and they were like, we'll just shit out a plot to put in between the fights to paste it all together. And it makes it feel like there's no real story in Annihilation. I mean, there's the general story of Outworlds invading, but there's no real cohesive, fleshed out story carrying you from the beginning to the end or justifying any of the fights. It's just a series of fights that happen. It's a movie that, under the right circumstances, if you have a friend with you, you can try to watch it and just you talk shit through the entire thing. No one watches Mortal Kombat Annihilation in pure silence, like, all right, we gotta really soak this in. No, it's a shit talk fest. The more people, the better. Of the video game adaptations out there, Mortal Kombat Annihilation holds its place among the worst. And I gotta say, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is dog shit.
Fatality.
Alright, so those are my thoughts on Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Maybe I won't ever watch the movie again. Though I'm sure some friends and I will pop it in at some point. Talk some shit. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Is it a movie that's so bad it's actually fun for you, or is it just bad? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.